Hey guys, welcome to the video, and today I'm simply going to talk about the best poker player ever. Now, who is the best poker player in the world? Well, it's a controversial topic because can you do it off money earned? Can you do it off who's got the most winnings in terms of tournaments? Can you do it off online cash games? Can you do it off live cash games? A lot of the games aren't even tracked. So it's one of those topics which people don't really know the answer to. However, people want to put their player forwards and give reasons why they think that a person should be the best player in history. Now, one place to start is we can look at Hendon Mob, which is a database which essentially suggests people's tournament winnings in poker and maybe their live results, maybe their cash game results online. However, again, sources can't really be trusted because some games are untracked. When you take into account tournament winnings as well, it doesn't take into account buy-ins. So for example, somebody might have £50 million in tournament winnings, but they spent £45 million on buy-ins, whereas somebody else has earned 20 million, but they spent 1 million. And you don't know who's earning more in terms of earnings over winnings when you look on a database like this. Now, over the years in poker, we've had huge names come through the game. Obvious ones like Daniel Negreanu. We've had people like Phil Ivey, Tom Dwan, Phil Hellmuth, and more recently people like Timothy Adams. Now there's an older age and a new age, and some of the older players are still playing now and crushing, especially in these live tournaments. However, there's a lot of online pros that have made a lot of money online in the game. They haven't played as much online. It kind of interchanges and we don't really know sort of who is really earning big money in these games. Another caveat to this is a lot of the biggest games in the world are played over in Asia, and they'll be private with big billionaires, millionaires, and they just don't want the games tracked. They don't want people to know winnings and losses in those games. And so these games are never tracked, and so some of the biggest earners, professional players that have got into those games, we will never know whether they won, whether they lost, how much they won, how much they lost, and so on. Now, if we look on Hendon Mob at tournament winnings, Justin Bonomo is leading with a whopping $61 million earned in live tournaments, which is absolutely crazy. That's a lot of money. However, we don't know the buy-ins compared to that. No one has got more as tracked on the database, but we don't know about cash games, how much people have earned there. And these figures are staggering to people who just couldn't imagine like earning that much money from the game of poker. These players buying for $100,000 for a tournament, £1 million for a tournament, and they'll be staked and backed. And also in these events, when they win $10 million, they'll often be staked in the buy-in, which means that maybe they win 3 million and then their stakers are taking the other 7 for those buy-ins. So again, we have to be careful assuming how much players are winning. For the average professional poker player, they're probably going to be making somewhere between $20,000 and $100,000 a year. Players doing really well will be earning 6 figures, 100, 200, 300,000, and the very top players in the world will be earning up to £1 million a year. Very, very few players are going to be making 7 figures from poker a year, and they will be the elite poker players in the world. Now, with the nature of poker, online poker gets very, very competitive. Relatively to live, a $1,000 cash game live might be relative to a $20 cash game online. The space is just much more competitive. There's less recreational players. Regulars can access them more often and from anywhere in the world. And so a lot of the big games move to a live space, and recreational wealthy players will want to play live against opponents where they feel like they're getting in less hands, there's a better experience, and there's less chance of any cheating going on. Now, as for poker's biggest losers, again, it's not something that's heavily tracked, especially at the top end of the game in the live games. They aren't recording those numbers. People don't want them to know whether they're losing or winning lots of money. One of the top players in the world that's a recreational and a lot of his money in business, Paul Fowl, he has reportedly lost over $2 million in online poker in just 49,000 hands, which is a relatively small sample, especially to lose that amount of money. So just to give you some example for professional poker players, the average poker player on PokerStars, professional, earned £52,000 last year, which isn't that high above an average salary. And remember, these are professional poker players. Another statistic is that the average poker player winning in the US won $14 per hour, which is a very low amount when you can take into consideration they'll have expenses, when you take into consideration that they can't be playing for 55, 60 hours a week consistently throughout the year as well. And so poker is a really competitive environment. It's a space where to be winning lots of money, the top players in the world, they do have a big edge in these games. And for most people, winning large sums of money just isn't something they're able to do. Furthermore, statistics show that less than 10% of players will ever make more than £1,000 in their lifetime from poker. Less than 2% of players will make more than $10,000 playing the game of poker. Now this shows you how hard and competitive the game is. Remember, wherever you're playing, somebody is going to be skimming off the top, taking a rake, and so beating the games is tough, but it's possible. And there's definitely a skill element to the game. There are players which are winning consistently over years and years, millions of hands, and over lots of tournaments and buy-ins. So guys, if you think you have what it takes to beat the high stakes, then buy into the games. Start low maybe, or if you don't want to, just go in. But yeah, people do make lots of money from playing poker. There are big winners. There are probably way more big losers. And poker is a skilled game if you can play it over the long run. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoy it, and leave a suggestion down in the comments as to what you want to see next. Peace.